Welcome everyone to the Global Innovation Readiness Webinar Series, Innovating for a Better World. We have our session today on strategic co-creation for local markets, and we're going to get started shortly. Just give you a quick overview and intro. We'll be enjoying a full session with wonderful speakers, Nicolas Brie, Marine Thibault, Lokesh Venkataswamy, and I'm Karina Jens. I'll be co-hosting or hosting, moderating this panel session. And I'll go through it very quickly before we get started. We'll go through and see how we'll proceed here. Make sure that you're ready for the journey. So just 5 tips before we get started. Everybody's a Zoom pro by now, I'm certain. So for Zoom webinars, as you know, there's the Q&A. If you have any questions, just tap them in. And of course, if you want to chat with the other attendees, feel free to make comments. We'll try to reply back there as well. But for the questions for the speakers, make sure you type them into the Q&A. So just to make sure you're all out there, you're on board, you're ready to go, say hello and tell us which location you're innovating or co-creating from. So we see who's out there. We'll take a look, see who, I know it was very exciting to see the participant list. You're from many different countries or locations. We see from Jordan, from Senegal, from UK. Wow, okay, so we're moving around the world. Look at the, all right, so Africa to Europe. Do we have anybody from Asia? I know I saw a few participants out there. North America, we have a few. Oh, Denmark and Sweden, Scandinavia. All right, Livermore, California. Okay, we're moving around the world. Excellent. And France, of course. And so it's great to see everybody here. And for our session today, make sure that you're muted during the presentations. And then, of course, you can unmute for the Q&A session if you want to ask your question live, or if you'd like to tap it into the Q&A box. We'll have, as I mentioned, we will have a session where the presenters will speak and I'll moderate, and then we'll open it up for everyone. So please feel free to ask your questions, and so we can make this a dynamic exchange and discussion for everyone involved. So a little bit about our Global Innovation Readiness Webinar Series. The theme this year is Innovating for a Better World. Last year, we launched the series simply because we wanted to explore what does it take to innovate and collaborate in this changing and dynamic world that we're living in. We wanted to find solutions, particularly for those of you who are collaborating, innovating in globally, internationally, regionally, in this context that is multicultural, it's digital, and it's moving very quickly. And we're looking at how can we find solutions that will ensure higher performance and market success. And so the series this year will run from January to June, and we launched the series last month around global and our new study. So we presented the highlights there. Today, we'll be looking more closely at strategic co-creation for local markets. And then you can follow us every last Thursday of the month. So we'll have upcoming topics on the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, inclusive leadership, all the way up to execution and ensuring readiness. Our purpose, a bit about Global Minds Network, our purpose is that around the opportunity to collaborate and innovate. So we're an international advisory who enables leaders and teams to collaborate and innovate for global and local impact. We are an international advisory team that shares this vision of facilitating collaboration in service of global innovation performance. We bring extensive experience, all worked internationally, And the thought leaders and advisors on our team have really bring extensive experience around the intersection of global innovation, leadership, multicultural collaboration, and digital transformation. And we bring this expertise around our global innovation readiness solutions. So based on a decade of research and our extensive experiences, we take you on this innovation journey and look at and help you with the support, the knowledge, and the solutions needed to move from co-creation all the way to go-to-market and to implementation. And we do so by offering expertise at each of the phases during the innovation journey, and as well as the professional development needed in terms of developing leadership and competencies to move you through that journey, as well as team collaboration and the space, the innovation culture and climate to make it happen. So that brings us back to strategic co-creation for local markets. This is the start of the journey. This is where the most important phase for innovation is where leaders can inspire, co-create with teams, and truly create valuable solutions. So I'm very excited to welcome Nicolas Brie, Innovation Booster Africa at Orange. Nicolas is an international innovation executive. He brings extensive experience in corporate innovation. He's led numerous initiatives at Orange, including intrapreneurship programs, innovation labs. I've had the pleasure to see him speak at ISPIM and a number of venues where he also earned ISPIM Prize for his work at Orange. He's a TEDx speaker, has published a book, as you see there, The Intrapreneurs Factory, which would be interesting to check out. I'm excited to hear more about his current role, which is boosting innovation with 20 countries across Africa around innovation, exploration, exploitation. So I'll stop there and let Nicolas tell you his story.
Thank you. Thank you, Karina. So thank you for having me, Karina, and thank you to the Innovation Readiness team. I'm very happy to participate and to contribute to this global local innovation, which is actually really a topic that I'm currently tackling with, as you said, the 20 innovation managers at Orange as in Africa. We are operating in 20 countries. And I'm helping this 20 manager to develop their local innovation program. And we will address this point in the presentation. As you mentioned also previously to this assignment, I have worked on several corporate innovation programs. And one of them is an entrepreneurship program at Orange. And I wrote a book about this experience and the return of experience of 40 other corporations at the end of last year. It's called the Intrapreneurs Factory, and in French, La Fabrique des Intrapreneurs. So let's go into the agenda of the presentation. I have shared the full document, and I'm sure you can share it with the participant, Karina, but today, due to the timing of the presentation, I will mainly focus on entrepreneurship and local innovation in Africa. But in the more complete agenda, I explain why we are changing our innovation model, what kind of open innovation initiative Orange has completed over the past years. And I end up with a review of a key item to tackle to scale up your innovation organization, to see if your organization in innovation is resilient enough to scale, to grow, and to resist to crisis. So I will focus on the what today: innovation from the inside, entrepreneurship, and nimble innovation at Orange Africa. So I will pass the two first slides. Here we go. So the story about the entrepreneurship book is very simple. During the 3 years I created and then managed the entrepreneurship program at Orange, I realized that I met a lot of other innovation and entrepreneurship manager, and I realized that more or less I was discussing with them about the same key points to monitor in order to succeed in designing and running your entrepreneurship program. So I said to myself, could I write a note about these 10 key points? And the note became a book which go through these 10 points. So entrepreneurship, basically, why do we speak about entrepreneurship today? Because it's really bottom-up innovation, and there is nothing more local than bottom-up innovation and entrepreneurship innovation. So which collects the ideas of the employees on the field and try to help them through an entrepreneurship program to incubate the idea, to test the idea, and to bring the idea to market, to give it, to bring it to life. So how to design a resilient entrepreneurship program? 10 questions are addressed in the book. I will go quite fast on the 10 items, except for 3 of them, which are the more delicate one in my experience. So the first one is you have to design the purpose, the reason why of your program. Is it to boost innovation, or is it more human resources transformation program? There are also entrepreneurship programs which are dedicated to social impact. And once you have spot your purpose, to align it with the corporate strategy. So there is so it's compliant with what the corporation wants to do, obviously. If you want to attract the employees to participate to the program, they are your customers. So you have to design an attractive value proposition and give them an idea of the target of the program and the timing, the rough timeline of the program. Then the third item, of course, not this. All these items are not to be successively run. You have to address them all at the same time, more or less. They are connected. So the third item is sponsorship. So usually people, this is one of the delicate items to address. Sponsorship, usually people look for sponsors who are visible for the program. And that's good for the program because they bring a lot of impact to promote the program. But it can happen that those sponsors are not very often available to help you monitor and improve the program over time. They are often here at the kickoff, and then you can be in contact with them 3 or 4 or 6 months later, and a lot can happen during these 6 months. So in the book, we draw on this experience of the 40 companies I have met, and there are 2 or 3 solutions that are shared. One is to have a deputy sponsor. So he's less visible than the sponsor, but he can be available every 2 weeks to help you review and improve the program. And he has a good network within the company to help you for that. Another idea is to set up an innovation committee with some representative of the business unit, of the innovation division, of the human resources. And this innovation committee will, one of these tasks will be to help you monitor and improve the program. It's a living program. It's not a frozen program. Step 4 is the process for the incubation. Many companies follow a mix of design thinking and a lean startup process. 5. Item 5 is the second delicate point to address. Entrepreneurship status. will he be fully allocated to the project or not, and how to coach him, as he's not a seasoned innovation manager, so he needs to be supported and guided within the course of the program. And item 6 is the third delicate point, is if you want to facilitate the landing of the idea of the project developed by the entrepreneur, it's better to involve from the start a business unit. And business unit commitment is not always easy to reach because they are very busy on the business. Very often they don't have any innovation objective in their KPI. So they have to understand that innovation is helping them, is not adding another trouble in their roadmap or in their daily business. Innovation can help them solve a problem that they have, solve a problem of competition, solve a problem of awareness of their product. And a role of the entrepreneur and the entrepreneurship program is to create this desire from the business unit to commit to the program. So I will not go through the other item because I see the time is running out, but you see the book can take you through this different item. And at the end of the book, you have 20 entrepreneur stories that share how they conducted their project in different companies, what they have learned in terms of personal development, human development, and also what impact on the business and on the transformation of their company, their project had. So I will now quickly go to the African part. And here we go. So what we try to do with innovation in Africa is really to deliver what we call transformative innovation. We are obviously, we have technology in our DNA at Orange. Orange is a mobile and internet provider. And we can be sometimes driven by technology. So we have to cross the technological possibilities with our user needs so that the product, service, or the business delivered to them can really make an impact on their life. That's what we call transformative innovation. And a very good example of this is Orange Money. So Orange Money is a way for people in Africa who don't have access to a bank account. That's around 80% of African people who don't have access to a bank account. It's a way to cash in and cash out money in the small retail shop that you see on the right side of the slide. So really, really small shop. You can cash in money there. You can cash out money there. And once you have the money on your Orange Money account, on your mobile account, you can transfer it through a simple text message. So it's really a low-tech technology, SMS message, and you can transfer it with a simple message to a friend of yours, to your family, to anyone who's connected to the service, and also to pay online for e-commerce and to pay in the shops in the streets to pay for the goods that you buy. So this service, it's interesting because it's not Orange who invented it. It was born in Kenya and developed by the local operator Safaricom. But we are not blind, so we saw this, this was matching a local interest. And we said, in agreement with the 20 countries where we are operating, shall we go for this? And the decision was positive. And so we did what we are used to do. So we built a platform that could sustain the rollout of Orange Money for the 20 countries. As I said before, it's low-tech technology using SMS. There is no artificial intelligence. There is no robot. There is nothing. Special technology spoken. But it managed to reach 50 million subscribers of the service in Africa for Orange. And over the past 10 years is definitely the most impactful innovation that Orange has delivered. It's not our idea, it's low tech, but it's transformative innovation. And that's what is important in this movement. Another illustration is the mobile smartphone that we have developed with Google, the Sansa. You know, the digital divide in Africa, it starts with the access to the internet. And the access to the internet is very often through the mobile network and through a smartphone. So you have to be able to buy a low-cost smartphone. And the Sansa delivered with Google is below $30. So I see I ran, I still have 5 minutes or something like this. Karina, can you help me? Okay. So I will just describe one thing is the process that we have set up to boost this local innovation initiative in the 20 countries. So we had to do a very simple process because people are not seasoned innovation manager. Actually, the 20 innovation manager, usually that's the first time that they manage innovation in this context. So the first step of the process is collecting innovative ideas, involving the employees, like in intrapreneurship, involving the business unit. I mentioned it's important to have the commitment of the business unit, and involving also the innovation ecosystem, ideas from startup, ideas from Orange customer locally. And to explore these ideas with two simple tools. One is a business model canvas to test a little bit the potential of the idea. Another one is a mock-up. Many of our ideas can be transformed in a mock-up, visualized very simply because many of the ideas, the user journey takes place on a mobile. And so there are tools to do that very easily. Then the second step is don't develop the product. The second step is go and check the value proposition with the users. But please don't develop anything. And so the innovation manager has to organize the interviews of consumers or businesses to test the value proposition and bring the insight to the innovation committees that will decide and go and give a go for exploitation, which is the part that we are the more at ease to manage, which is the more traditional part. So I will not detail the example of the different local innovation that we have developed in the different countries. And I will go more to the conclusion to be in consistency with the timing. Yes, the conclusion is this one, is I have mentioned the intrapreneurship program, which is a way to organize entrepreneurship. I have mentioned the local innovation process that we have developed in Africa, which is a way to organize open innovation locally. And you can find what I've mentioned on the right part of the slide. But innovation organization is nothing without innovation culture. So you have to work at the same time on the left side of the left side of the slide. So I mentioned creative tension based on lean startup. It just means that you have to give some constraint or timeline to the innovation team, because as they say at Google, the faster the better, or also they say innovation loves constraint. It actually helps the team to have this kind of framework. Second is really about culture. It's about aspiration. So with all this local bottom-up project, entrepreneurship project, it's very important that at the time they meet, they cross also the commitment of the leaders. So at the same time, the innovation team develop its idea. It's important to find out who can be a visible sponsor of the project, because it will really help the project in the long run. And this crossing is really the key for the successful local innovation. And last, it's also it's about a risk-taking culture. So many people say it's important to learn from failure. I prefer to say learn from setback, because when you say failure, it's already a failure. When you say setback, it's just that it did not happen as you had planned. It's not a failure. It's more a surprise. And so the innovation team has to become some kind of learning organization over time. So sorry to be so quick. The last part is about what I mentioned, scaling your innovation organization, and you can find many of what I said on my blog, rapidinnovation.fr, and you will have all the link to the different items in the presentation that Karina will share. Thank you very much.
Oh, great, rich insights. Thank you so much, Nicolas. I know there's so much for you to share, and I know we have a limited time. We do have a minute or two for questions, and I already have one question related to your talk from Ole Tangsgaard. He'd like to know, is coaching institutionalized?
What do you mean by institutionalized?
I cannot speak for Ole, but Ole, maybe you want to, if you want to unmute, you can detail a little bit more. It sounds to me that it's integrated into the process. Ole, is that, maybe you want to unmute and add any additional thought on that?
Anyway, it's very much, it's a key item of entrepreneurship program. And for what regards open innovation, local innovation with Orange Africa, you can consider that as an innovation booster, I am in a way the super coach for the 20 innovation manager. But in entrepreneurship program, corporations choose mainly two ways of doing it. Either they have innovation skill inside the company. At Orange, we have a division for innovation of 3,000 people. So you can manage to find some innovation skills in this division, and select a few people who are interested to become coach for the entrepreneur and the entrepreneur project. And we train them a little bit, and we give them a framework to support the entrepreneur. Other companies have much less limited in innovation. Innovation division can be 5 to 10 people. And in this case, obviously, they select coaches from innovation agency, innovation consulting agency, and so on. And sometimes also, they send their entrepreneur into innovation incubators, where they can be coached and where also they can meet with entrepreneurs who are being incubated in those incubator or accelerators.
Great. Thank you, Nicolas. Going to move quickly to the panel session, ensure we have time for a full discussion. I see that Chidananda and Daniel, you have questions. Can you hold them or type them into the Q&A, or I'll be able to unmute your mic. We're going to have a Q&A session in about 20 minutes. So please hold those thoughts, and then we'll, because I want to make sure you get more insights. We have two more speakers that I'd like to introduce you to, and one moment here. So we heard from Nicolas, that's a wonderful presentation. And I'd like to introduce you to Marine Leroux Thibault. It's a project and design lead at US Digital Response. And Marine brings an exciting journey focused on, or 2 decades of experience already, in innovation and user experience. And she has mastered not only startup, she's founded her own company and design studio in Paris and San Francisco, but also corporate innovation. So most recently held a role as innovation director at Thomson Reuters. Oh, sorry about that. And we're back to Maureen. And she has spoken on these topics and is a big fan of design thinking. So I'm very excited to hear more about her insights on her latest project at US Digital Response. So she'll be sharing more insights very soon. And then I'd like to introduce you to Lokesh Venkateswamy, my colleague here at Global Minds Network, our international design and innovation leader, who brings extensive experience in his career as an award-winning innovator and design thinker. And he has developed a lot of expertise around digital transformation, intellectual property, new product management, and design, of course. Moving from corporate to founding his own company, he's CEO of a leading innovation consultancy, Innovating, where they have consulted numerous clients across sectors in India and Asia. He and Innovating, the Innovating team, have developed a special approach around systematic ideation. So we're looking forward to hearing more thoughts from Lokesh Venkateswamy as well. So I'd like to invite both of you up to the virtual panel so we can quickly launch the discussion. And I'd like to ask each of you a question and in terms of what is your approach to strategic co-creation? And if you could give us a quick example, a current example or project. So we start with you, Marie.
Absolutely. Thank you, Karina. And hello, everybody. So the approach that is working well with US Digital Response is to crowdsource talent for specific challenges. So rather than crowdsourcing ideas for a given challenge, we crowdsource pro bono volunteers who are highly skilled in a variety of fields such as engineering, design, research, data analytics and marketing and so on, and who can work in an agile and human-centered way and develop solutions very rapidly, typically within 6 weeks. So for context, US Digital Response is a nonprofit that helps governments in the United States to respond to a crisis such as the pandemic and the urgent needs of a crisis by quickly delivering solutions that serve communities and in the interest of the public. So this idea, this co-creation process of crowdsourcing talent may be simple to the innovator's eye, but to governments, it's revolutionary because governments are typically not equipped with expertise or processes to develop solutions rapidly. So, we offer our services pro bono, and that allows governments to have the freedom to go out and create new solutions with US Digital Response completely outside of their heavy and highly regulated processes. So how it works is that a partner reaches out with a challenge or a problem, and we spend some time really digging to the root of the problem to fully understand what challenge we're going to be tackling. And then we identify sort of a general direction for a solution, along with the expertise that will be necessary to execute on that solution. With that, we broadcast the challenge, the general solution and expertise we're looking for to a local network of over 600 volunteers, active volunteers with US Digital Response. So these are people who have raised their hands to volunteer with us and whom we have interviewed to assess their core strengths. And then we will go through all the candidates who raise their hand for this particular challenge. An internal team will be responsible for just looking through all the profiles and identifying the best candidates for this project. An example of a project that I'm currently working on in co-creation is with a nonprofit that provides legal assistance to underserved communities. And they reached out with a challenge which consists in helping immigrant farm workers from Latin America who live in the United States, who are legally documented and are victims of poor COVID-19 protections at their workplace due to the negligence of their employers. So the challenge consists in educating these unaware immigrant farm workers that they have legal rights to protection at work, and we offer them legal representation, legal assistance to defend those rights, and file claims against those workplace violations. So I have been working with the customer, the partner, this nonprofit, to really understand the core of the problem, why it exists, and who are these immigrant farm workers, and identify potential solution of building a chatbot that reaches them through social network or social platform, which is the only way that they happen to communicate, and they only have a mobile phone, no other device. And a website for more information about their rights and the standards, the guidelines towards protection standards at the workplace, along with filing a claim for defense. And I've assessed the types of roles that we needed and basically broadcasted the challenge to our network and identified a couple of engineers, a designer, a user researcher, a Spanish speaker that can help translate everything, because our farmers are English speaking almost exclusively, very, very little English, even though they live in the United States. They live in their own communities, so we have to access them with their own language. And we are going in a process of full design thinking to work on executing this challenge.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very interesting initiative. And Nicola, you gave us, you obviously gave us your approach to strategic co-creation and looking more at and some examples. So I was wondering, what did you find particularly important in terms of your approach for succeeding in Africa? What of those steps, you outlined the full journey for us, which steps were particularly critical?
Yeah, I mentioned the process, the simple process that we have developed to collect ideas and test them and bring some insight in order to get the project moving. That was very important for the go from the innovation committee to be based on the customer, on the user target insight. That was a key element for decision. Second, I mentioned the culture and the fact that the innovation manager or innovation team at some point have to be supported and recognized by the leaders in their country. And third is a point that I did not mention, but with the story of Orange Money and with other technical platforms that we developed in Africa, there has been a move in the recent years where we let people develop innovation on top of this platform. And for example, you take the central Orange Money platform designed in Europe and in Tunisia. And you have people from Cameroon or from Burkina Faso or from Egypt that can develop additional features. And the beauty of the of the system is that other countries can pick up these features in copy paste code operation to roll out these features in their own countries. So it's really a new way to design platform. It's design platform to people who will design additional services on top of the platform. So it's the kind of B2B2C, I don't know how to say that, but it has really been a cultural change at Orange. Once it is set up, it accelerates a lot the spread of innovation across the region, because one successful feature can be immediately replicated in the other countries.
Fascinating. Moving to Lokesh Venkataswamy, can you tell us more about your approach to strategic co-creation and this in terms of systematic ideation, and maybe an example?
Sure. Thank you, Karina, for this opportunity. I really appreciate. When we really look at new ideas, where does the new ideas come from? If you really look at the strategic consultants, they sell their services using the use cases. But how to create this new use case is the new opportunity. It's not that the idea will fall on the head and then like apple falling on the head. How to shake the apple tree, that is an opportunity today. How to bring people together and then enable them with the new tools and techniques. That means rising up their task motivation, how to bring those experiments as well as collaboration as a new opportunity. At the same time, also introduce to the new tools and techniques which is available around us. So because we need to bring all these three aspects for people to really think innovatively. At the same time, organizations also need to think what is their big challenge? Because the biggest challenge today is identifying the challenge itself. We did several consulting engagements on identifying, that means seeding innovation challenge itself. Because people think that each department thinks they don't have any much challenge. The challenge lies in other departments. So bring everyone on the table and then see how they can really help each other. Today, they're not able to have that conversation because there is no common language for innovation. That means there is no common definition for innovation. What is the definition of innovation for the organizational level? What is the definition of innovation at the department level? What is the definition at the team level? You need to have a different definitions because sometimes it may be a product challenge, it may be a process challenge, or it may be a business model challenge. So we need to bring all these three aspects. When we ask people like, now, how do you really come up with new ideas? People say brainstorming. So there are many tools to approach systematically today because we need to get new inspirations from their own industry as well as from the different industries too. So in this, like, when we having a conversation with many organizations, we felt that people don't have time to learn these tools. The biggest challenge is that. How to make these tools available in a very simplified format. So we have gone through more than 200 plus various innovation tools. And then we found and fall in love with 4 tools. One is design thinking, morphological analysis, creative problem solving, and TRIS. TRIS we really inspired because of the patents, because Ashuler, he came up with the 40 principles, understanding more than 40,000 patents, and he predicts what will be the next invention. But he did more towards the product, but not on the process and business model. So what InnoMantra did, we have gone through this entire 4 methodologies, and then how we can really simplify to reach people. That means enable people to discover more about their own products using patents, using publications, using new entrants in the market. Also did some some level of study in the market to reflect more. The next, we bring them to ideation by preparing their mind. Then we use our framework called functional innovation. Okay, so this functional innovation enables everyone in the organization, from a doorman to chairman, shop floor to top floor, how they can think innovatively using 11 tools. So these tools enable them to come up with new ideas so that you have a lot of ideas on the table. The first part the front end of innovation, to make it successful, you need to have more numerous ideas on the table. And also, you need to have a right process to identify the best ideas by merging, by combining, and also to have new inspirations, even the bringing the subject matter experts, so that you're not biased about the ideas. Then next, you think about the creation where the many of your startups, incubators, all these people can be helpful for you. Many times, we are not able to sell it to the management to get the sponsorship well, because we fail in selling those ideas into tangible benefit to the organization. So what I always suggest is try to involve incubators and then startups. Show that instead of idea, show that as a POC, because your idea sells better as a POC. Because people will appreciate, people will not see how to kill the idea, then people will see how I can really build on those ideas. Okay. The fourth is a very important aspect is how we can show the impact of these ideas. So we simplified the entire process, the bringing the best element from these methodologies, and we named it as an InnoPro, that is innovation in process and products. Using functional innovation as a framework for ideation, which is very successfully deployed in many of the Fortune 500 and Fortune 50 companies, including, and we generate around 2,500 ideas, 1,000 to 2,500 ideas in one single frame, in eight weeks of engagement, and try to reflect on identifying some of the top projects actually, which will be chartered for next 6 months to 18 months. So I think we have been successfully deployed in many Indian companies, as well as Indian multinationals, as well as the the Fortune 500 and Fortune 50 companies. And there was amazing feedback from each and everyone.
That's great. Thank you, Lokesh.
Thank you.
It seems a very effective approach, systematic ideation. So we have a lot of questions coming in. I want to make sure we have enough time for the audience. So I'm going to jump to the wrap-up question for you. Just a quick word. What would be your advice to a team leader who wants to jumpstart strategic co-creation? What might be one step or one piece of advice that you'd like to offer team leaders who are moving in that direction? Strategic co-creation for local market. Marine, so we'll start with you.
Sure. One advice I would give is to hone on a clear and sharp problem definition at the start of a challenge. So define the problem or challenge with a very highly defined problem from the start of a challenge will provide a higher number of quality ideas and adequate solutions, and the reverse means that you'll have a problem that's not very clear, that potentially suggests a solution in the problem, and is going to generate poor ideas and very inadequate solutions. So what a good problem definition means is asking a lot of questions, probing a lot about the root problem, understanding who are the people affected by this problem. What would happen if this, if there was no solution to this problem? Okay. And essentially just being very clear, not providing the solution in the problem is going to ensure that you get good results.
Excellent. Thanks, Marine.
Sure
Nicolas, your quick advice, because I want to make sure we have time for our Q&A. Everybody's waiting to ask questions.
First, I would support definitely what Marine just said, and if she had not said it, I would have said it. So
she took your answer.
No, I would like to share a quote from Margaret Mead, a scientist, which I like very much, and it's about change, and innovation is definitely about change, and so. One might say you need much power and an army of people and resources to achieve change in your business or to change the world. But Margaret says that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. And indeed, it's the only thing that ever has been. I
Very
like
nice. Thank you. And Lokesh, your one word of advice or?
Like when we talk about innovation, I think innovation should not be seen in isolation. Innovation need to bring I call it as a gregarious, actually, where the three-horsed cart, which is generally used in wars. So the leadership, people, and technology. We need to see all three together, because unless you may bring a best technology, if people are not motivated enough, people are not really encouraged to attempt and explore, the technology will be a failure. Unless the leadership shows a vision and direction, and to have an exponential, because if you really look at all innovation challenges falls into three buckets. One is the efficiency, amplifying the exponential efficiency. The second part is more about resilience, like how to build resilience in your product and services and business. The third aspect is attention, because constantly today, the world is all about attention. How to bring attention to the activities, what you do, so that your customers and competitors will become your followers.
Great. Thank you
Thank you.
for words of wisdom from all three of you. And I'm going to jump quickly into questions because I see there are many who are eager to pose questions. I will start with Danielle Ayanu, Jordan Ayanu. In your open innovation initiatives, how do you do to go beyond POCs with startups? Anybody want to take that on?
I can start with some element of answer. It's first of all, thank you for this question, and it's at the core of the cooperation with a startup, because once you have managed to attract the startup to initiate a proof of concept with your corporation, the challenge is to bring it to market and to industrialize it. First, I would like to say that learning from setback, not all POC has to be brought to market. Some proof of concept will bring you knowledge, even if they are not transformed afterwards into a real product. And then my second comment, it's a little bit corresponding to what I said for bringing life to entrepreneurship project. It's a question, first of all, of alignment. So are we aligned between what the startup wants to do, what the strategy of the corporation is, and what the business unit commitment is? If we manage to have this alignment, at a certain point, you will no more be the owner of the proof of concept as an innovation manager, but the business unit should become the owner of the proof of concept. And the business unit will fight to transform this proof of concept into a real product or service, because it tackles one of its problems. It solves a problem that it has.
And that's great. Any other thoughts from our speakers before I move on to the next question?
I would just add to that. I support everything that and Nicholas said, indeed. And I would say that from US Digital Response, one of the things that we do is because we're a bit more of a service provider, we'll work with not startups, but nonprofits or governments. But the key, one key component of our POCs and the final product or solution that we deliver is that they are sustainable. In other words, once we hand them off to the partner, they are equipped with the resources, with the skill sets to take over and maintain, develop, monitor the solution that we provide. So sustainability is a really key component, I think, and I think applies just as well for startups when bringing your POCs to the next level.
That's great. Okay, I'll move on to the next question from Ole Tangsgaard. This is for you, Maureen. Are there any types of innovation where your approach is most usable, or have you met types of innovation where it didn't work as well?
Where innovation is most usable or hasn't worked as well. Well, we have definitely come across partners who reach out to us with challenges that are not adequate. Most of the time, when they're looking for a team augmentation, or they have a challenge that's really broad and is hard to break down into smaller chunks or prioritize. So prioritization is a really important part of making sure that innovation is going to be possible. In terms of usable innovation, the crowdsourcing ideas, crowdsourcing talent has proven very efficient, both in terms of identifying good skills to create strong solutions, but also to grow our own network of volunteers, of skilled workers. The approach of design thinking, human-centered, prototype within days and delivered within weeks has really attracted a lot of partners. So we have a lot of repeat partners, repeat customers. And it's also grown, it's also triggered a lot of interest amongst people in the United States who want to volunteer their time to help serve their communities. So it's helped to grow our network of volunteers to over 6,000 people. I mentioned earlier 600 volunteers, which were active volunteers, but we have a broader base of a broader network of 6,000, which is really the result of the impact and the success of this type of innovation approach.
Excellent. And we're getting close to our conclusion here. We only have a minute or two. So any last thoughts from our speakers in terms of your next steps? I see that we have a question just kind of on what will be your big focus for the year. So maybe you can give us a last thought. What will be important for your work in strategic co-creation? What will be a focus, one focus, and then we'll have to conclude.
Yeah, my thoughts, like as I mentioned, there is a big challenge in identifying the challenge itself. Organization need to really look at SDGs, that is sustainable innovation goals, development goals, which is set by UNO. So I think from there you try to drill down and identify, because organizations are going towards more sustainable and like circular innovation opportunities. Circular innovation opportunity requires a wide variety of skill sets and talents and the new inspirations. So there is a huge opportunity for the collaboration in those spaces. And then organization need to look at collaborative innovation opportunities, bringing down their partners, academia, bringing their even suppliers, working together and identify bigger goals for their organization, so that the innovation inspiration is key for driving innovation.
Thank you, Lokesh. And Nicolas?
Yes, so in 2021 in Africa, we'll start the free trade agreement across 54 countries of the 54 countries of the 55 countries of the continent. The free trade agreement, it's some kind of what we did in Europe some time ago, with no taxes countries when you buy a good from abroad. So it if it works, if it goes really in action, it will be a fantastic boost for e-commerce in Africa. And one of our priorities at Orange is to open our platform to help all the startups and the players that will be acting in the e-commerce field in the cross-border payments. What do I mean by this is when you buy a good from another country and you pay it with your local money. Again, in Europe, it's easy because it's for most of the countries, it's in euro. But in Africa, the money won't change. So you have to adapt the system to this new free trade agreement. And we are refining our platform, financial platform, telecom platform, to help the startup and the different players to accelerate this movement.
Fantastic.
Great. Oh, and final word, Marine, before we close.
Yes, very quickly. One of our focus, or a couple of our focuses for 2021 will be to spend more time on knowledge sharing. So sharing a lot of the knowledge that we have collected working with a number of different governments across these governments and across nonprofits. And also reusing solutions that have worked for one government to use it with other governments that might have the same problem. So a lot of reuse of successful solutions and tools, and a lot of knowledge sharing.
Excellent. A big thank you to all of you for very insightful, a very inspirational session. Before we close, I'm just going to ask everybody to hold on just for 30 seconds, going to just give you a preview of what's coming up for our coming sessions. We're very happy to have enjoyed as wonderful speakers on strategic co-creation local markets. If you have additional questions, you have my contact information there. And should you have requests about, of course, this series, as well as our services and what we're about, I will be following up with an email, so everyone will receive a recording from this webinar, as well as, I believe, any additional content. Nicolas promised as well. And make sure to stay with us for the next journey, or the next stop on our journey, which is Thursday, March 25th. And we'll be having a webinar with a panel of speakers who will share insights on sustainable development goals and the impact on global innovation. So we will be unveiling those speakers to you very soon. You have registration information there, and you can stay updated with us by following us on LinkedIn on our company page there. So thank you, everyone, and grand merci, and a big thank you to all of you for participating in our discussion today. And thank you again to our speakers.
Thank you, Kana. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.